Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing well. In today's video, we are working alongside Let's Resin with this incredible mold. This mold is available from Amazon. I got it from Amazon here in the UK, so that is exciting for anyone watching in the UK. And look at this mold. It is beautiful. It is a keyring cavity mold, and it's got multiple smaller little cavities as well, which I will show you a close-up of very soon. Here's me just getting debris out because my craft room is a mess and everything just attracts over to the silicone, but it really has that gorgeous curved domed top to each of the cavities. Like, if you guys have been with me a couple years, you know that I've got a mold that has this rounded curved top. It just gives them the most tactile, nuggety feel. And seeing as I am in my Great Outdoor series, I was thinking, what on earth can I do to make this mold tie in with my series? And we are going for a canopy of stars. I just thought that would be so pretty. This keyring kit comes with all of the keyring attachments you need. I'm going to be using some holographic stars. That word holographic doesn't come to me naturally. I always have to go into my brain and like dig it out for some reason. I'm going to be using a combination of holographic stars, super sparkle, glitter dust. I'm going to be using the chameleon powders, the Let's Resin chameleon powders. And I'm also going to be using a gorgeous combination of glass stones as well. I am not being too careful putting these stars and moons in. Honestly, I want them to look quite chaotic, very clustery, very universe-y, whilst still being in with the Great Outdoor series. The resin we're using today is, of course, the Let's Resin resin, crystal clear, measurable by 1:1. Check out the description box for all of your Let's Resin codes. Of course, this video is sponsored by Let's Resin. It has been so hot in my craft room, guys. The last 4 days my craft room has got into over 40 degrees, so I have had to get up at silly o'clock in the morning and film at like 7 a.m. whilst it's still manageable. So after I mix the resin, I put it into my mixing machine my Let's Resin bubble removing machine to let it do its thing. But here's a close-up, because this mold comes with a whole bundle of itty bitty teeny tiny little cavities, and those cavities match the actual key ring cavity. So you could make tiny little studs, like earring studs, with a little bear and hearts and rectangles and stars, and absolutely perfect way to use up all of the space that is left when you make a mold. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to use these little crushed glass pieces. I'm using pink and blue and a multicolor, almost like the kind of galaxy chameleon powder from Let's Resin as well. So it kind of all ties in. We're going to get this bluey, pinky, purpley vibe going on. Now, before I continue, I do want to shout out to Isla and Menon who watch me from London. Isla, thank you so much. Stay creative, my dear, because being creative and getting into your crafts and just allowing all of your creativity to flow really is so magical, and I hope you continue well into your adulthood. And your Auntie Jodie is one of my favourite people on earth, so shout out to you. Thank you both so much for watching, and I really appreciate your support. So yeah, shout out to them. I'm just going to finish up adding all of these little sparkly details into our canopy of stars keyrings in the hope that they all look good together. Who knows? We never know what resin's going to do and what the results are going to be. But this is what we are looking like at this point. I think this colour combination of the holographic stars, the pink, the blue, definitely lend itself to that night sky universe vibe. At least I'm hoping. So my resin has been in the Let's Resin bubble removing machine, and it is absolutely and totally crystal clear. I just want to fill these up halfway before walking away and coming back the next day. But before I do that, I am going to lay down some more stars. So the initial laydown of the stars, they've all gone onto the bottom of the mold. These stars are going to float on the surface of that resin layer that I've just poured. This was just in the hope that it would create depth and we'd be able to see behind. And that's the theory. I don't know if it will work. Hoping that they're going to float and that they'll still be floating tomorrow when we come back. 24 hours later, then it is time to fill these up. I'm going to be using the Fast Cure resin by Let's Resin. It is 4-hour fast cure, measurable 1:1 again. So I'm going to mix this by hand. Sorry about that interruption, guys. There was someone at the door. So yes, I'm mixing this by hand because I'm not making much at all. And if I put this in the mixing machine, the blade will come above the resin and you really don't want that. You don't want all the bubbles introduced. So into this, I am adding in some black liquid pigment. Now, I'm going to be using the chameleon powders from Let's Resin. They work best when there is a black background. So I mix the resin for a solid 5 minutes and I set it to one side and we can crack on with the key rings. Now, because I'm going for this great outdoors canopy of stars, you know, spacey vibe, I decided to choose colours that would tie in mostly with that. Now, I absolutely love the Let's Resin chameleon powders. I've been using them for years now. Anyone who's used them will vouch that they are simply beautiful. So I chose Galaxy, Blue, Teal and Plum for my key rings. I'm going to use a combination of 3 or 4 colours in each one. I'm not really sticking to any particular rules here. I just want to make sure that every single key ring has got at least 3 of the colours. So whether you do stripes or whether you do top, middle, bottom, left, middle, right, it's entirely up to you. But I just went with a combination of all of it, everything, and all of it in between. Again, I didn't really want to hold myself down to any particular rules. These colours, honestly, just look at these colours. They all work so beautifully together. And I hope that they're going to give me that spacey, I guess almost sunset northern lightsy vibe when we pour the black background on as well. I am using the brush that comes with the kit to actually apply the powder, and in between each powder I started like rubbing the brush clean on a piece of tissue, and in the end that soon wore off and I just went for it. Now, of course, this is sped up slightly because this was quite a process, and believe it or not, I was taking my time and going quite slowly just to make sure that each cavity is super filled with those colours. So lids back on, and this is what we're looking like. The colours just work so well together. Now, again, I'm going to be using black in the background. You can use any colour, but just know that black is really the colour that's going to make these chameleon powders pop. Now, before I pour the black, I'm going to try this technique. It was Wendy from Toonpish Crafts that taught us this technique ages ago. I tried it once. I didn't do a very good job. And it's basically rolling up a chunk of packing tape into a ball and dabbing it down onto the surface of the chameleon powder. I don't want to take all of the chameleon powder off, but I want to take some of it off. I was thinking if I could just take elements of that chameleon powder away, then when I pour the black background, we're going to see the black background, right? And that's going to act as a more of a deeper, darker sky than we would have if we didn't do this technique. Again, I'm not very good at this technique, but I was just hoping that at least one would work. So just dab on, being careful not to remove all of the mica, because if you do too much, you will remove all of the mica. Now, to apply my resin back coat, I decided to pour it into a squeezy bottle. I did this recently and I'm telling you, it is an absolute game changer. Being able to just take full control of where the resin goes, no drips, no spillages, obviously, and unless you drip or spill it, but it's so unlikely. Using a squeezy bottle, you've got so much more control than if you use cups to pour this. And I didn't need much, so I really wanted to go slowly. The squeezy bottle can be cleaned. If you leave it upside down overnight, the resin will all pour out and then you'll be left with a thin film of resin, and you can simply crunch that out and pull it out of the bottle using tweezers. And the same with the lid. The lid will pour out clean. And if any gets stuck in the spout, you can just use a needle or your Cricut weeding tool just to push through the spout and get rid of the resin. So these bottles clean up a dream. I also filled a couple of the smaller cavities, and now it's just a question of waiting 4 hours before we can demold. This is the Fast Cure 4-hour resin that we've used. Okay, demolding. The first time. I've never used this mold, and oh my goodness me, I am obsessed with the feel of these. The rounded edge is everything. I am in love with these rounded edges. I'm telling you, they're so tactile. I prefer them over the 90-degree edges, and if anyone has ever used a rounded edge mold like this, you'll know what I mean. It's just, oh, it just feels like a gorgeous stone or a nugget. Imagine these but in eco. Like if you made these with eco, they would be cold to the touch, almost like an actual stone that you've picked up off a beach because of that gorgeous rounded edge, like a pebble. And I'm obsessed with the results. This one, look at that deep dark black sky coming through, that tape technique. Oh, this didn't work for me last time, but it definitely worked this time. Now, I do have some micro bubble air pockets on the surface of these because I laid down some stars, moons, super sparkle white, and those glass stones first before pouring any resin. Again, hindsight is a wonderful thing. If I were to do this again, I would lay down a clear layer prior, and I mean a thin, super thin, 1 millimeter thick, clear layer before laying down that first layer of stars, glitters and stones, purely because again they've touched the silicone and thus we have some air pockets. Now that can be sorted out with a top coat of resin, but because they are rounded edged and they're very pebbly to touch, not sure how that would work. Could I brush on a layer of UV? Probably yes. How neat would that be? I don't know. It would be great at this point to do like a Daniel Cooper and just dunk them in a big pot of dunking resin. I've seen Daniel Cooper do that with some of his pieces. That would definitely solve all of the issues. Am I going to do that? Guys, you know me, most likely not. But I don't think it takes away from the finished product. It's just one of those things that if you get this mold and you follow this hashtag Claire made me do it, put a thin 1 millimeter layer of resin down first prior to adding any stones, glitters, stars, sequins, anything that you're going to put in there. And then that way, there'll be a gorgeous little barrier between those and the mold. How teeny tiny are these? They would make for perfect little earring studs. I'm not making earrings in today's video. But yeah, I love the clear outline that each and every one of these have. Now, of course, they don't all have to have that. That is because I filled the mold up to the point of it coming back and over that dome. So all that was left was just that literal background. So therefore, all of the edges are clear, which was an unexpected surprise, but one that I absolutely love. Would you look at these and think, wow, canopy of stars, night sky? Probably not. You'd look at them and think, what gorgeous, gorgeous colours, and the stars and the stones all work so well together. That tape effect definitely gave me some blank areas where we can see the black in the background. So there are definitely some elements more leaning towards galaxy and space, but it all works because at the end of the day, if you're camping and you're living the great outdoors life, you're under the galaxy. You're under the galaxy. We'll just say that and leave it there. But let me know your thoughts. I hope you feel inspired by this one. Again, this was sponsored by Let's Resin. All of the details will be in the description box below alongside your discount codes. But those powders, I'm sorry, they are stunning. And yeah, I'm absolutely in love with these. I would love to see this done on a much bigger, grander scale. You know, multiple layers of the stars and moons, even like 2 or 3 layers of resin, then the powder, then the tape technique. This one here, this kind of like square cloud, that definitely has the best results from the packing tape taking the powder off technique. And this rectangle is probably my favorite. The rectangle is hands down up there as my favorite. But let me know your thoughts. Again, if you do decide to recreate this, hashtag Claire made me do it. And don't forget to hype if you like my content. Please click that hype button and that thumbs up button. And if you're not yet subscribed, please do so. It is free. I don't charge you, okay? Because I'm nice like that. I hope you've enjoyed and feel inspired. Thank you, Let's Resin, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye. If you are still here, I am getting ahead of myself in the voiceover. Hello, who am I? So this does come with a set of keyrings, of course, your bails and your keyring attachments. Now, there are 10 keyring attachments in this kit that I got from Amazon, and there are 16 keyrings. So it's definitely handy if you've got any keyring attachments and bails sitting at home, then you'll definitely need them. If you get this kit, there's not quite enough keyrings for all of the mould cavities, but now that is it, okay? I was getting ahead of myself in the voiceover, but that is it now. I promise I'm going to stop talking. This is me zooming right in on all of the beauty that is these little galaxies. I think we're going to have to change the name of this one to actually be a galaxy. Let me know your thoughts and I will see you next time. Bye.